Right. So before we start, I've managed to secure some 10 minutes to have a good laugh. Um, Hopefully not at your expense. So for our online audience and everyone here in person, we're going to play a little game. Um, if you are on MTN, we're going to play fastest finger. Get your phones ready. This is the one time that an MC gets to tell you, get your phones out. But please, while their phones are out, your phones are out, please put them on silent so that we don't distract or disrupt the flow. We're going to project the numbers on the screen. So if you are online, pay attention to the stream. And if you're here, pay attention to the screen. And we will put these numbers up. And let's hope that we have a winner in here, because at least I can see you. This is no prejudice to those who are joining us online. If you win online, call me and let me know that you've won. So let's have the very first set of fastest fingers on the screen. There are 5 lines of numbers that you can load, so choose whichever line you want, and let's hope that one of you is a winner. Let us know if you... Oh, I'm blocking someone's view. Sorry, I can't do this to you, please. So something very interesting happened. I just realized I don't know how to top up using the shortcode. And I found that out when I was called over, and the gentleman said, well, sir, what's your name? Maxwell. So Maxwell says, I buy using Momo, so I don't dial a short code. And then I remembered that I haven't used a short code in a very long time. So for those of you who missed out on the first one, we've got a few more coming up. The short code is *134*, and then you add the numbers on the screen as quickly as you can, and then you end it with a hash and press send. So now that we all know, we'll call out the second one and see if we'll have some winners in here. So it's *134*. You can start off with that. So have we all dialed, or at least keyed in *134*? Okay. Let's have the next set of fastest fingers on the screen, please. But did anyone in this room get some of this one? Okay. Okay. I think the online participants have snapped up all the fastest fingers. But it's nice. I mean, keep buying with Momo, but don't forget the code. In the event that you need to dial the code, it's *134*, and then you enter the code and follow it with the pound sign and send. So, I have been speaking with you and telling you what's about to happen, but I haven't told you who I am. I would like to do that, not because it's about me, but it's the nice thing to do. I'm Kweku Inshira Ado, and I'm a broadcast journalist. I work with Asasi Broadcasting, and we operate Asasi 99.5 in Accra, Asasi 98.5 in Kumasi, 99.7 in Tamale, and 100.3 in Cape Coast. Like MTN, someday, everywhere you are, we'll be there. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here with you to moderate the MTN Business Executive Breakfast Series for 2023. We have a panel of three whose combined experience and expertise is enough to solve all our problems. But we only have a few hours together. And so I would urge you all to make your notes, and when we have the open forum, you can field your questions. It's usually easier when you script your questions so that we get as many of the questions and answers into the window we have as possible. I'd like to acknowledge the team from MTN who are present here with us, without whom we won't be doing this. The Chief Human Resource Officer, Amma Ben-Amponsa, is here with us. Amma, good morning. And we also have the Chief Capital Projects Officer, Mr. William. And Mr. Bernard Akwa is the Chief Information Officer. Yeah, Bernard has your number, because he has all the information. So that's the man you need to speak to. He makes sure the information ecosystem at MTN and how it affects you runs optimally. We also have Daniel Asari. Sorry, I almost said Asiru. Daniel Asari is the Acting Chief Enterprise Business Officer. Daniel, good morning. And Winifred Seto Smith is the Acting Chief Risk and Compliance Officer. Finally, Michael Gbewonyo is the General Manager, Internal Audit and Forensics. Yeah, the name says it all. I'm surprised he actually waved at you, because these guys, they usually like to stay in the background and not let people know they exist while they work. But thank you all very much for the work you've collectively done to make this possible. We don't take this for granted at all. By way of protocol, if in the event that we have to evacuate, let's not panic. We'll have to use the same doors we walk through and walk away towards the pool area where they have the assembly point. Now, I would like to welcome you again on behalf of MTN. This is a meeting that is here and there, here at Mövenpick Ambassador Hotel in Accra, and for all who are joining us around the world via Facebook Live and YouTube. It's MTN Ghana. So for those of you who are here and you would like to tell somebody to join the conversation, ask them to look for MTN Ghana on Facebook and YouTube, and they will be able to join the conversation. We'll have two wow moments later. One will be for our online participants. Someone's going to go away with a Samsung smartphone. We'll also give one smartphone to somebody in this room. And then we'll also give away 50 gigabytes of data. We all love data these days. I can imagine how many movies you can watch with 50 gigabytes when you're relaxing, or how much work you could do with that. We'll be taking those during a Q&A session after the main Q&A session, and I'll tell you all about it. So I'll alert you, and you make sure you pay attention to certain key presentations, and you give us some answers from that. Now, our online folk, and everyone here, if you would like to share what you're hearing with an audience, please use the hashtag it's business done better. Hashtag business done better. And with that, I welcome you to the MTN Business Executive Breakfast Series. I'm Kweku Inshira Ado, and we're going to take a short ad, and I'll introduce our panel, and then we'll go into our conversation.
Doing never stops until the job is done. Turn your home and business into an internet highway and experience the revolution of working and playing without limits. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh to sign up for MTN Fiber for home and business today.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She's pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains the new fleet-finding darts are more accurate than the old ones. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't automated your fleet management yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Welcome back from the commercial break. So I'm going to introduce our panel, but before I do so, I would like to situate why we're here. Now, it's not lost on any of us that since 2019, the world has taken on quite a lot of shocks, some of which we thought was very far away from us. But we soon found out that the world is far more connected than we'll ever know. And so business leaders in Ghana today are faced with very uncertain times, and they have to make very, very hard decisions in very little time. It requires agility, it requires resilience. I remember when the money came into Manchester City, the first coach they hired was a guy who used to play for, I think, Spurs, and an ex-Man City player in England international, Stuart Pearce. And at the time, they weren't doing too well. But he coined a new word that I fell in love with, and I'm on a very silent campaign to have that word admitted into the English dictionary. It's bounce back ability. It sounds as it means, that it's going to take a lot of hard work, it's going to take a lot of smart decisions, and somewhere along the line you're going to get your fingers burnt, but you have to learn and fail fast. But you can't do it all by yourself. We have a panel of three who have great dexterity at maneuvering the ecosystem of business for many years, not just here at home, but they've done it around the world. And so I will urge you all to pay particular attention to the discussion. My job is just to ask the questions. They know how it's done. They live it every day. And they might drop a thing or two that will help you do your work better. So my panel, and I'd like to start off with the very first gentleman who will be sitting at seat number 2, then number 2, or sort of number 1, number 2, number 3, and then I'll take the seat at the end. He's the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, a Ghanaian industrialist, he's an entrepreneur, a management consultant, a career spanning well above 2.5 decades. And he's been in the industrial packaging, mining, and bulk haulage of industrial raw materials space for a while. He currently serves as chairman and founder of Red Moon Resources Limited, and he's also chairman of Hamdak Industrial Packaging. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Humphrey Kwesi Eyimdake. A second panelist is a distinguished change leader, her career has spanned experience in international development, telecommunications, financial services, consulting, and insurance. Lately, she's been the fearless leader of the MasterCard Foundation, leading the charge for a lot of the interventions they're doing with startups and helping build resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, Rosie Finn.
Hi, Rosie.
Last but not the least is the Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange. One of the very few appointments that was announced, and I was filled with great elation because I have had the rare opportunity of plundering her brain in my line of work, and I'm glad that she's on this panel. Abnamwa has more than 17 years of experience from capital market advisory work, investment banking, M&A, you name it. Anything that's got to do with companies growing and making money, she's done it. Let's welcome Abnamwa. And I am Kweku Inshira-Addo. I will be asking the questions, but I urge you to pay attention to the responses we'll be getting from our panel. So if you're online and you're participating, please remember we have a smartphone that we will be giving away to one of you. All you have to do is to stay interactive, like, comment, share, ask questions, and we'll field those questions in our Q&A session in a while. So over the next 30 minutes, we're going to try and get as much knowledge from our panel as possible. Okay. Hello, everyone. So all in here can hear me. I'm guessing those online can also hear me. I'd like to start off straight with you, Humphrey. And it's simply because of where you sit. As president of AGI, you have multiple sectors represented in your membership. Now, how, in your opinion, or what does it take for a business to be resilient? What does it mean when we say businesses must be resilient? And why is it important in the context of Ghana's current uncertain market?
Thank you, Inshira, and good morning to participants, both online and in here gathered. I bring you compliments from the Association of Ghana Industries and members. And we are blessed to have this opportunity to air our opinion. Business resilience, one will say, has to do with the ability for an enterprise to be adaptive to its business environment, notwithstanding disruptions and crisis, but have the capacity to recover speedily and to reposition itself for growth, for stability and growth. We should also recognize that the Ghanaian business environment over the number of decades of existence has been structured where we are highly import dependent, and also on our export front, we focus more on the primary products. Our economics will tell you, by virtue of that structure, most often we encounter trade deficits by virtue of these trade imbalances. In recent times, by virtue of new growth areas like the oil, we've identified some surpluses. However, the accountants will tell you, or the financial experts will tell you, the current account balance on those trade deficits are in favor of the contracting partners, and therefore, even though we have surpluses, the trade imbalances still exist. Once you could establish this in the context of where our economy sits, businesses operating in this space are clothed or prone to such fluctuations and international shocks. And I established that by virtue of your import-dependent nature and your export of primary products, establishing the deficit position of your trading balances. This has ramification on your exchange rates. It has ramification on policy. Policy per se, because every 4 years, you do have a political season. And this political season comes with a lot of manifesto promises from politicians seeking to correct the trade imbalances that have established of import-export deficit. Once you establish this bigger framework, it then gives you the perspective and how to tackle the big elephant in the room and how to shape it. Let me give you a clear example. By virtue of these fluctuations and international shocks on our trade, international trade, domestic trade, both product and services, the recent shock of the Russia-Ukraine war exposed the macroeconomic indicators of our country. Producer price index, which is the basis upon which inflation is calculated, in the year 2021 moved from 8.4 to 5.2 to year 2023 January. So you can see the gap of variation. In the same period, inflation moved between 9% to about 53.5 thereabouts in the same period. Using these figures, it gives you a graphical position of how vulnerable our trade imbalances brings an effect on the macro economic fronts where all the businesses are active. It therefore suggests to you that businesses operating in this ecosystem are subject to a lot of vulnerability. How then do you, as a business owner, operating in this space, understand these dynamics that I have described and relate it into your operationability and profitability and being resilient as you go forward? Further on, I also described the political era that moves in. It brings about policy changes. Policy changes, some policies become inconsistent with the way you operate pre the previous election. Some policies are inconsistent. Some policies are retrogressive in taxes and therefore complicates the business environment. When you proceed on that score, it leads to a position where sometimes government, with the weakness of collecting of sufficient taxes, exposes government and its inability to develop on infrastructure, which becomes another arm of difficulties that businesses face in the environment. All this is situated in a description of a third world country that we call a least developing economy. And when you're a least developing economy, there are characteristics of a least developing economy. Economics will tell you there's high rural-urban drift. Once there's high rural-urban drift, likelihood that there'll be high demand on infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and you can name it on and on. And if government doesn't have sufficient funds to fix it, what becomes of that ecosystem that the business is operating within? So I'm giving you a bigger picture to see how the ecosystem operates by virtue of the structural difficulties of the country in your trade deficit, leading to insufficient revenue and taxes for government and further complications.
Kwesi, I would like to ask you a follow-up, and this is more narrow from your personal experience as an industrialist and as an entrepreneur. And as president of AGI, you have a lot of industrialists and entrepreneur colleagues who share their experiences. What are some of the common challenges that businesses face in Ghana when it comes to building resilience?
All right, so you will find some businesses underestimate the risk profile of their businesses. And I've given you the world scope and narrow it down to the country Ghana, and then down to your business or your space of industry you're playing. Whenever you take your eye off the international dimension, and there's fluctuation in crude oil, when you're into plastics, bear in mind it will trickle to affect you. When you're in transport, so you need to understand the global picture, so therefore you can estimate your knowledge. 2, you must also establish a value chain and also appreciate your supply chain. And secondly, your financing model, which banks, which financing institutions you are using, and also your technology that you use to enhance and speedily appreciate the difficulty as a result of research and development, information gathering, deploying technology to be enhanced decision making, so that at all point in time, you're a step ahead of it. If you lack this, definitely your business will be in such challenges.
Okay. Well, Rosie, welcome once again. So you've had a career that's, spanned several different sectors, but I'd like to borrow from your experience in telecoms, where competitive gaming is the order of the day. And so you need to be agile, you need to be resilient. But
Right.
how can businesses in Ghana stay ahead of the competition? And I look back at your time coming in and taking over an ISP that was niche at that time, but you made it the buzzword in that period. Share with us.
Which of the ISPs? I did two of them.
The smallest of the
The smallest of the two, okay. Well, let me just say a good morning to everyone. Pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to business resilience, I think Dr. Humphrey mentioned a lot of the key things that are required and necessary. If I think back to my experience, as you alluded to, I think that one of the key things was ensuring we had good and accurate data. I think data is gold in the quest to be as resilient as possible. And it comes with having approaches that make you a data-centric entity in the good times. You don't wait till the issues start to happen and then you try and figure out what's going on, what the numbers look like, what are our customers thinking, where is our profitability coming from. At that point, it's too late. So one of the key things in building resilience is actually planning for it ahead of time, right? So I think Dr. Humphrey mentioned that it's the ability to rise back up when issues happen, but that only happens if you've put in the work ahead of time, if you've put in the planning, if you've made sure that your staff are well and ready and know what can happen during difficult times and what they need to do. All of that planning is key. So I think that was one of the major things. So when I talk about understanding things from a data-centric perspective, there's the internal data, right? So that is knowing where your revenues are coming from, if there are opportunities to diversify your revenue base. That is understanding your cost structure. Are there areas where you can reduce some of your costs? It's understanding your profitability holistically. It's understanding your customers and where they're coming from, which regions they're from. It's really getting that piece correctly. But the mistake a lot of companies also make is they focus on the hard numbers and forget about their employees. That is another crucial part of ensuring you're building resilience. You need to know who your employees are, their strengths, their weaknesses. You need to know who your star workers are and how you ring fence them, so that in times when things are difficult, you might not be able to pay them, but there are things you're doing that will make them stick. Otherwise, they're very easy targets to be poached. And I think we saw a lot of that last year, right? When prices were very high and people were having a difficult time. If anybody came and gave anybody a little bit more money, they were jumping ship. But if you really know your employees and you kind of have created a culture where they're there not just for salary, et cetera, but you've built a full holistic culture, they're more likely to be sticky. So those are the internal things, right, that build the resilience. When you look externally, it's really understanding the market, the industry you're playing in, what the trends are, where you see things going. And it's understanding your competition, right? What are they doing, and how can you ensure that you're consistently a step ahead of them? And one of the things we realized was that, and I think Dr. Humphrey alluded to this, technology is such a key enabler, right, in everything that we do. So in terms of our operations and ensuring we're setting ourselves up strongly, that's one of the key ways. So even if we're thinking about being data-centric, technology plays an absolutely key role in that. So yeah, I think if I think back to my experience coming into a very small ISP, and it was a turnaround experience, right? So we're suffering. We were not making enough revenues to cover our costs. But it was really having that clear access to data and also beginning to shift in terms of our usage of technology. So a lot of our advertising went digital. A lot of our delivery went digital. That made cost bases come down. And that's how we started to be able to sort of turn the tide around. So those are some of the things that I would say are absolutely key.
So data, people, and being smart and working with the meager resources you have and leveraging it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Now, I'm going to come to you in a moment, but I just would like to issue this disclaimer. During the windows where people were poached, I wasn't poached, and I didn't go for the money. Just so we're clear on that one. But Abna, you know, you've worked in several different markets. You've seen businesses grow from tabletops to IPO. You've seen businesses go from IPOs to nothing. Where do you see opportunities in terms of sector specific? Because if you borrow from the experience of farmers, you can plant the same crop in one field and you will have some growing quicker and faster than others. Where are the opportunities in terms of sector, and how does resilience play a role in these? Where is it most required in Ghana today?
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me, and good morning to everyone. When I think about resilience, I think of longevity. I'm very fascinated by old stuff. Anything that's old, I'm very interested in it. Old people are some of my best friends. And when I think about Ghanaian companies, I did a little research to see what is the oldest Ghanaian company on record. I'm not sure yet, but I came up with a company like Standard Chartered Bank Ghana, set up in 1896, 147 years old this year in Ghana. I came across Nkulenu, which was set up in 1941. In Nkulenu, Dr. Oklu, who died more than 10 years ago, registered her company and started operating in 1941. They will be 81 years old this year, and I understand there's even equipment they bought in 1961 that is still working and in practice. I came across a company like Enterprise Insurance, which will be 100 years old next year and is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Stanchart is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. MTN is listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And it made me think about what makes these companies resilient. Because as we say, if you want wisdom, you go to the old people, the people who have lived through what you think is your biggest challenge today. So who are the companies that have pivoted, that have changed their business structure, that have seen the times, and not just that, but have thrived? And so for me, when you ask the question, which sector is important, I'd say the answer is all of us. Do you want to survive? Do you want to be disrupted, or do you want to be a disruptor? Look at MTN. We started off thinking MTN was a phone company, then it became a lifestyle company. MTN staff were dyeing their hair yellow. You know, it was like, it was cool to be MTN. And then 10 years ago, you could not sit in a bank boardroom without them saying that their biggest competitor was MTN. How did the telephone company go to become a lifestyle company? Suddenly, it's like our biggest bank. And today, MTN is everywhere. So that, for me, is the mark of a company, or it's a mark of a business that is looking at resilience. The sectors that are important is everything. But in Ghana especially, I think it's our SME sector. Humphrey, really, your group at AGI, why many of our companies do not survive our founders, go on to the next generations after that, is one of the reasons, is one of the key things we need to look at. I see governance as one of the big things. If you want to survive, what kind of governance systems do you have in place? The governance systems that make sure that you're not only the owner, the only decision maker, the commingling the company's resources with yours, you are getting advice from other experienced people that ensures that your business goes through the times. I think Humphrey and Rosie have talked about some of the things you need to do internally. But for me, a lot of the history of the companies that have survived and thrived goes back to the right governance practices. And that's why at the Ghana Stock Exchange, we focus really on two things. One is access to capital, and two is the governance practices that insulates the company, that ensures the company is there for the long term, that enables the company attract the right staff and investors, and makes sure that the company remains competitive and will go through the different business cycles, the different challenges that come up.
All right. Abena, you talked about two key things. We all talk about access to capital. Everybody wants to start a business first, and they say, oh, I need money to start a business. But nobody says I need help setting up the right governance structures. I'd like to, in my bid to put up my best behavior, ask you to give us some practical steps on how businesses can build that resilience required to live long, even after the founder is gone.
I think the tone starts from the top. If you're a small business, create a group of advisors. You may not have money to attract and pay the best directors, but create a group of advisors whose advice you take very, very seriously. They have to be arm's length from you, but you need to cultivate a relationship to attract them. If you are registered as a company, the directors can't be just your family and friends. Look for the skill sets that you need, whether it's legal, accounting, access to markets, and reach people that, because a director has legal responsibility. A director, if they do not manage a company well, can go to jail. So that's one of the key things. And when you get the right group of people at the top who can overrule you sometimes, or who can overrule your plans or say, take it easy, and you listen to them, that can be some of the best starting steps. They are not there just being difficult. They are there because they bring other expertise and they help you see some of the risks that you yourself may not see. As they say, the person cutting the path may not always see what is behind them. So that group is very, very important, and how you use them, how frequently you engage with them, quarterly, depending on how mature your business setup is important. Number two, your executive team. Rosie talked about how you engage people. Sometimes you are not the best payer, but your ability to share your dream and your vision with a group of people. I joined out of university when all the big companies wanted to hire me. I met a young man, now known as Togbe Afede James Apo. He had just set up this startup business. I went to see him on a Thursday. We talked. The vision he drew was like, I went home and told my parents, I'm going to work at a company called SAS. They're like, who's SAS? It's a small company on the ring road in a little office. Meanwhile, there were lots of international banks and accounting firms wanting to hire me. But I listened to that vision, and regardless of the very juicy offers that were given to me at the time, I stayed with this company. So attracting other talent as an entrepreneur is very, very important, and how you share that vision, how you allow those people to innovate, to come up with solutions. A friend of me shared, who worked in a factory, a multinational factory, shared a story with me. They had a problem with one of their manufacturing lines, and they had brought consultants from everywhere in the world, spent a lot of money. This issue wasn't being resolved. And they brought him in as yet another consultant. He went on the factory floor, called the line heads and said, okay, we've had this problem for years. You guys, what's the solution? They all looked at him and said, this is the first time we are being asked what the solution is. Within 3 days, a matter that consultants had come from India, UK, Germany, everything, these same people who had worked with this equipment every single day resolved the problem. My friend didn't charge money for it.
Oh, I would.
So empower your people. Don't just hire them. Create the systems where they give you feedback and they give you the solutions. And I think these are very important skills to have to build resilience.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Abna. Governance, critical. It's like the blueprint over which you build a house. Otherwise, you'll end up with a house, the bedroom is tucked off somewhere, and then the rooms don't talk to each other. And people, because at the end of the day, your idea can only come to life through you, who's a human being, and the other people you work with. So empower the people, hire the right executives, and let them push the vision through. Let's turn our attention to the world of technology. Rosie, technology, I mean, yeah, we know technology existed. Some of us used to only use our smartphones to make calls, watch videos, and send text messages and WhatsApp. Now, we're realizing that we're carrying supercomputers in the palm of our hands. How can technology be leveraged to deliver resilience in business? And what are some of the examples that you can share with us?
Sure. And I think the funny thing was the fact that when I think a lot of business executives were interviewed during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of them mentioned that the technologies that they had adopted during that period wasn't even a part of their plan. They weren't thinking about it. A lot of them also mentioned that it would have taken them 3 years to deploy a lot of the technology that they did in a very short time period because they were kind of forced to by the pandemic. But what that is telling us is the fact that a lot of the time we look at technology as a nice to have. And we've done our businesses in a certain way for such a long time. It's working for us. Somebody might come and say, let's just do some digital enhancement, and a little bit of that will happen here and there. But that real push to become a full digitalized company a lot of the time, it's not a matter of being resistant to it. There just isn't anything that spares people to that. But we're seeing right now how absolutely critical and almost non-negotiable it is, and the advantages you have if you have the right technological systems in place. So today, for example, I work from home 3 times a week. And the rest of the time, I am using Zoom. I am using a lot of internal, systems we have to be able to communicate, keep up with the team, to be able to get clear dashboards in terms of what's happening with a lot of the programs we are running across the country. I can sit in Accra and know how many farmers we're bringing on board in the northern part of the country, right? Because we've put in place these business intelligence dashboards and technological systems that allow us to almost feel like we are on the ground and with program implementers, even though we're sitting in the office or sitting at home. A really key aspect of it is also how you keep in touch with your customers, right? Today, a lot of companies are now adopting chatbots, etc. What that's enabling them to do is reduce the time to resolve very basic customer issues that exist. If somebody has a very small, not very complicated issue, companies like MTN, etc., through their chatbot can resolve everything clearly. But we are a people who are, I think, to some extent, quite resistant to certain types of technology. Even I, sometimes if I am calling, a call center of a company, and it says, do you want to speak to the machine? I'm like, give me a human being right now, right? And a lot of that cultural barrier is the reason why also a lot of businesses continue to maintain a very human interface. So I think that's something else we should keep in mind, because that cultural piece will always be there. So as a business, as you try and transition into heavy technology, do not forget that space of where you're from and what your customers also want. Because you might go so fast that you might leave a good section of your customers behind. So it's a fine balance. How do you continue to educate and bring your customers along despite these cultural barriers, but take advantage of all of the key technology solutions that exist today? A lot of the work we do at the MasterCard Foundation is actually building the capacity of small and medium enterprises, right? Today, that's 90% of Ghanaian businesses. And what we're really beginning to realize is that as more of them start doing their marketing online, they're opening up into areas that they didn't even know was possible in terms of their reach. right? And that's a lot of the mindset and thinking that we are trying to instill in a lot of the young SMEs that we're working with. Initially, you know, they've started an enterprise, they've started a business in their community, it's working and they're satisfied. But it's also enabling people to see beyond what they ever considered was possible with the use of technology. And I think we're beginning to really move the minds of a lot of these SMEs we're partnering with into areas where they can live dreams that, you know, they never even had in their vision plan for like the next 5 years or the next 10 years. So it's really exciting to see the opportunities that technology has. But one of the things that's clear is that you have to walk the journey with these SMEs and support them with the right, you know, systems and tools and capacity building to enable them properly deploy and utilize these technologies. Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that you also like talking to human beings when you call centers.
Yes.
Amabene, you may want to review some of the calls I've made into 100 because my favorite part of those calls is there anything else I can do for you? At the very end. And my response is always, maybe you can sing the national anthem for me. That's why I like to talk to them. But the chatbot actually does work. And so you're seeing that technology is being leveraged to make the life of the customer a lot easier. And if you can make a customer feel good, you'll always have them come back to you. I mean, as I see, for example, the breakfast show that I host is broadcast across the 4 stations we own and other affiliates. But I can have an interview with you if you were in Tamale, for example, and it will be from our studio. Any of the 4 stations can broadcast straight to the others. And this is because we thought about using technology to be able to do this. And I think that what you talked about technology and how you leverage it in your experience at MasterCard Foundation is something that's transferable to different environments. But that said, Humphrey, one of the things that you hear people complain about is, oh yeah, not only are the founders dying and the business going with them, but that we can't have 2 Ghanaians come together to build a business that lasts forever. How do we, you know, when it comes to partnerships, what role do partnership play in building resilience? How can businesses in Ghana establish these partnerships effectively, not the one that ends in court?
Okay, great. Well, let me first acknowledge, Abuna mentioned the founder of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Esther Oklu, and therefore I need to acknowledge that milestone, and fortunately she comes from Peki Jake, and today that I'm a torchbearer, I'm also from Peki Avetile, so it tells that it runs through the veins of
Peki?
From Peki. All right, great. So on this said partnership issue, once you through the question, what comes to mind immediately is that I described the business environment that we operate in. And with that characteristics of the business environment, situated in a least developing economy, it tells you the vulnerability of the market space or the economy, Africa, Ghana, as a case study. And for you to thrive and build a resilient, a very good example in partnership is a company known as Scancom that moved to Ariba. And from Ariba, today is what?
MTN.
Thank you. And so that journey unfolds resource sharing. And in the story of MTN, at least I've lived long to see the days of Ariba and then Scancom to MTN. You see the combination of resource sharing among partners in such a turbulent business space. And that story, sometime along the line, part of the court processes is also part of the business processes. All you need to have is a commercial court that could give you a speedy adjudication in the partnership realm. There's no perfect system. So we accommodate it as part of it, and to me as a business person, living this space, accommodate it accordingly. So partnership is very crucial to build the resilience you need in such environment. And in the midst of the partnership, you will find risk mitigation and contingency provisions that will aid you to balance and then be afloat. A typical example, same in the space, we all are aware that the state of the nation, by virtue of inability of government to rake in requisite revenue, therefore put government on the back burner if government, you're into a contract with government, and government delays payment. However, the contract is good. If you have a partner that can soak part of the risk mitigation issues in terms of cash flow, once upon a time, once your payment comes in, it becomes a bingo. But sustainability of the period where payment is delayed, which is an external factor that an SME would have loved to do, but if he hasn't got the right partners, you struggle to attain the goal. That is a typical example of resource sharing, mitigation, risk mitigation, and making contingency provision to stay afloat in the times of difficulty. That is a characteristics of resilience. You could go on to knowledge sharing. And in the knowledge sharing portfolio, it has a combination of human capital. And then I'm told the history of MTN is producing a lot of human capital. And I can see one of my partners going into very good collaboration with MTN. We'll give you a thumbs up for that, and we'll praise you when you do such collaboration between SMEs, medium-sized enterprises, and a giant like MTN. And then also goes to innovation as another portfolio within the partnership engagement. So it's one part of the innovation that today Facebook and the other giant IT companies are doing through Google as they identify skills in the African market for software, for the hardware, and the various innovation coming in there. Part of the partnership arrangement also unveils such potential of identifying right persons with new ideas to complement the effort. So partnership is crucial in this environment for purposes of resilience. How then do we do it in our state? There are some cultural issues that one needs to navigate. It comes through the leadership, engaging the vision, recalibrating the vision, and speaking on the vision strongly to bring your team through your human capital that you built. And I love what Abna said about the Togbi Afede. Togbi Afede is also one of my kindred in Ho, which is not too far from Peki. Togbi always on. So it gives you that compliment, yes, so that you can have a full overview of what the vision is. And when the turbulent times come, when the shocks, international, domestic, comes in place, it becomes the role of the leader to rally the team together, recalibrate it, and then give it a shot with all the innovations and the technology aspect that combines to take you forward. So culture has a part to play in the partnership arrangement.
I'm so happy you mentioned culture. But before I go into my very next question, you know, you talked about innovation. I have to commend MTN for Ayoba. I think it's a very good step. It's innovative. As Abna mentioned, they've gone from being a simple telephone company to be the key, a major player in the financial inclusion space. Now with Ayoba, they're looking to take this a whole new level and probably create a virtual ecosystem where we can all actually interact and do business. And it takes collaboration to create the innovation. But more importantly, the final word you mentioned, culture. Abna, I would like you to take this final question before we go into our Q&A. And I would permit me to use the word bounce back ability for the last time this morning. How do you create a culture that allows your business to thrive in spite of the challenges? Because they will come, you know. And what are some of the best practices that you may be able to point to help us understand what it takes to build a culture?
So I think a very, very important ingredient for building that culture is transparency. Transparency in your partnerships. Partnerships are important. One of my key partners is here in the room, Mr. Michael Mensah of the CSD. We're in partnership with AGI to bring many of their members onto the Ghana Stock Exchange and other partners as well. Transparency with your stakeholders is critical. So aside your external stakeholders, be it the taxman, be it your accountants, be it your suppliers, the internal culture of your team, how you've built open communication lines so that your team are able to give feedback, receive feedback, share in the vision, and communicate the important things that ensures the company's sustainability and resilience is important. You're going through tough times. How often are you meeting your team to talk to them about the challenges that is going on? How often are you asking your team to give ideas on how we can navigate this time? During COVID, I know teams that, because of these type of open communications, members themselves, staff themselves volunteer to take a half salary. Members themselves volunteer to say, okay, I'm going on a sabbatical. So that empathy, that transparency that you as a business leader have to create, how well you know your people, so that often you think you are the one coming up with a solution, but the team is the one coming up with a solution. These are very, very important tools. So for me, the transparency and how you are building trust. And it doesn't happen only when you're in the tough times. The process starts when things are at your best level. That process starts at that time. The access to capital, and Inshira, I can't leave this panel without talking about that. It becomes, for almost all our business people, they say it's their biggest challenge. Where is the capital coming from? I'm here to tell all of you, the Ghana Stock Exchange is there. We have created, in partnership with the Tier 2, the Tier 3 schemes, over 35 billion Ghana cedis. All of us, we contribute to our Tier 2, Tier 3, right? Over 35 billion Ghana cedis today is available to make long-term investments in well-run businesses. So please, when you say there's no access to capital, or you have a great idea and you can't access capital, come to the Ghana Stock Exchange. MTN did it, Stanchart. MTN doesn't need more money than any of you or any of us entrepreneurs. So the money is there, and we are ready to work with you to access this capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abna. And I couldn't agree with you less when you talked about the importance of transparency. Allow me to take you on a little journey to Genesis chapter 1. We've all heard or read the story about how God created. Every time he did everything until he created the human beings, he did it by himself. It says, let there be light. When it came to creating human beings to run the system, he said, let us create man in our image. So if you want to do great things, you can't do it alone. No matter how wonderful your idea is. But the transparency, I think the others who helped him create man saw what he had done and thought, okay, well, we like this, so we can go with this project. So when people tend to have, they feel, there's something I'm not seeing and I'm not getting answers to, it could create a certain inertia or lethargy that would then, make you non-competitive. So thank you very much, Humphrey, Rosie, and Abena for your insights. We're going to open the floor for questions, and we'll take a break. When we come back, we will take the questions, and then we'll deliver our first wow moment, have something to give away. So stay with us. We'll take that break and come back in a minute.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security goat to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business. Pascal's showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that the wells can store many, many messages. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded your contact center yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Welcome back. It's time to make somebody happy. The only thing with that person I'm about to mention is that we will not see them do the cartwheels when they realize that they have won a brand new Samsung smartphone. But our first wow moment winner, and I would urge you all to applaud this person. They've been the most interactive on the online platform joining the conversation, is Elizabeth Sam, who came via Facebook. Elizabeth, congratulations. If this is a second phone, you know where to find me at Asasi. We're in Cantonment. I would gladly take it off your hands. But congratulations for winning the first wow moment. The second one will be for all of us here in this room. And mind you, there's also 5 50 gigabytes data vouchers that we're going to be giving away as well. So stay with us for the duration. We're going to go into our Q&A. There's a very first question that actually, I guess, has been answered by Abna in a very last statement. Now, Adams Nate Mikhail asked this question and says, please, does it matter to have capital before a business can grow? For those who may have just joined us, I will want an answer. Any one of you can take this answer. Humphrey, you have run businesses for many years. Did you start with capital?
I started with an idea. Idea first, conceptualize it properly, put in a business plan, look at the entire concept with the risks associated with it, and then the funds will come. We say it every now and then, but it seems startups always have this challenge. But seriously, that is the approach. Conceptualization of your idea, put it on a blueprint, and then work it, and then the funds will come in. And therefore, then it goes back to Abna, that Abna says, I got 35 billion Ghana cedis under the tier 2. And myself and friends in the industry and the trading space look forward to access such funds to expand our businesses. Mm-hmm. However, this is within the same eco space that we've all described. And we know how the tier 2 laws and the pension laws are structured and gives restrictions to what sort of funds there or what sort of investments under the 35 billion can go into some forms of industries, as well as there are a lot of SMEs in the space. I believe she has also created a couple of commercial papers and also the alternative stock market that gives us the route to have the hand-holding approach. Nonetheless, we still believe there's a bit of flexibility that we expect the pension law to create and expand the scope for businesses out there to take advantage of the funds that she has. We know it's not that easy, it's not that simple. There are regulations you need to comply because these are pension funds, hard-earned money that needs to be reinvested into some risky areas. And therefore, the law needs to be tweaked a little, increase her deposit or her reserves, and then we can go out there and take some funds to expand our business. So now we take the challenge, but let's work on the fine details and the T's so that together we can partner and get MTN to partner more SMEs in the innovation and in the tech space and create a few more giants, and then we can together celebrate.
I like the sound of that, and I'm sure Abna is happy. Rosie, you want to tell the point? Yeah.
If I could just touch very quickly on the question as well. I think it's so important when you start, you might have some savings already that can help you push the idea to the next level, but I would recommend bootstrapping as well before looking for commercial.
Please, bootstrapping,
investments. So bootstrapping, basically going to friends and family for investments, for example. So if you have, as Humphrey said, a business, you've actually created the idea. It might be coming up with a concept or maybe a pilot, right. And giving yourself maybe 6 months to prove the case or prove the concept of the business. And if you've got a strong enough business plan, it's the kind of thing that you should be able to encourage friends and family to give you some startup capital, some investment to push you along the way. Mm-hmm. But then there are a lot of entities also, like where I work, the MasterCard Foundation, where we look at a lot of young people with great ideas and are willing to invest in them, provide them with grants to help them move their ideas forward. Put them through incubation processes. So for example, we have a partnership with the Cosmos Innovation Center, which you can apply to. Once you're in, they help you refine your business, sort of get it to the next level. And then we'll give you some startup grants or funding to help you move the business to the next level. And we're not the only ones who do that. There are quite a few of those opportunities as well. So yeah, the idea that you need to have funding before you start, that's not the case. And I wouldn't even recommend going to, say, a bank to get a loan at this stage. The interest rates, as we know, are quite high. And it might actually cripple your business before you even take off, because they won't wait for you to have revenue before they say start paying back, right? So let's look at all of these other avenues for startups as well.
Absolutely. Abna, you want to add something?
Yeah, Humphrey, the good news is that the NPRA has reviewed the composition, the investment guidelines. So today it's open for investments in the kind of riskier businesses. But as I said, the reason that they must be on the stock exchange is also because of the governance requirements to give the partnership the confidence that the funds will be well managed. So yeah, I think the two teams have spoken very well. The idea is you have a business idea. Will someone buy it? First, get your first customer, your second customer, your third customer. Show that you can sell the lemonade. It is from the cash flow of selling the lemonade by opening that little stand on the corner that you can start investing in the next level. Once you've proven your ideas, MasterCard, Cosmos Innovation Center, and the whole set of groups to give grant money or support money are there to move it to the next level. As you grow, you'll find that you need to now go to the banks. Banks require collateral. Banks require transparency. If you don't have collateral, if you don't have transparency, they will not give you the money. There's another set of investors called private equity angel funds, and they are there. If you speak to them, they will also support your business. But that is where a lot of businesses begin to stagnate in Ghana. After they've grown with bank financing to a certain level, that's it. They don't want to grow anymore. And the next level of growth comes from the capital markets. That's the point that I said on. Dangote, we all talk about Dangote and how big his companies are. A lot of his business has been funded by the capital markets. All his businesses are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That is where you go for transformational capital. That's where you grow to become the next 100 million, 100-year-old company. That's where you go to become a case study, as Columbia Business School did on the Nkuleno Industries. And that for us is the governance principles as well as the access to serious money, because the cost of bank debt in Ghana cannot grow your business very far.
Absolutely. We'll turn our attention to the room. If you have a question, we have a microphone close by. All right, let's get a microphone to Madam over there. Tell us your name and then fire away with your question.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Messi Mintajampo. I'm the pharmaceutical liaison for the Republic of Cuba. We all know that for SMEs, one of our major concerns is the depreciation of the cedi. Now, for example, in the pharmaceutical industry, in 2020, the market size was over $616 million. 70% of this industry is made up of imported products, 30% local products. Out of the 30% of the local products, 83% of raw materials are imported.
Wow.
So my question is, such a sector which is heavily dependent on foreign exchange, heavily sensitive to foreign exchange fluctuations, how do we make it resilient to thrive? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can take another 2 quick questions, and then, so the gentleman right there in the middle, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm the head of IT for Guinness Ghana. I want to thank the panelists for all the good information they've shared, but I think one of the things I noticed was missing is that for a company to go 100 years, the key word then will be succession. And so I want to understand the role succession plays in growing a resilient business. Thank you.
Very good question, Michael. We'll take a final question from the room.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Sapon, Black United Group. I heard about ideas, governance, culture, finance, but what is the role of skill in building a resilient economy? Skill development. We have the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education, and they are promoting skill. And speaking from the agriculture sector, where Ghana, we are net importers of food. That's sad. All the tomatoes we are eating from December to May are imported. We are eating onions from Egypt, Holland, Morocco, and we have 60% of our population in farming. What is the role of skill in building a resilient economy in a challenging environment? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the first question, which came from Madam Minta Jampo, had to do with the CD depreciation and the sensitivity to external shocks. How do you build resilience in spite of that hurdle? Who wants to go first? Humphrey?
Well, that's purely manufacturing and trading. Colleague Minta, pharmaceutical is one of the flagship of our Ghanaian product. Exporting to the neighboring markets, we have a very strong brand in that pharmaceutical space. Yes, I agree with you. Most of the raw materials, however, are imported to do the value addition. That is just the beginning of that industry. Then you use what a product diversification. I think in the investment theories, they have what we call the portfolio diversification. And therefore, as you import a lot of raw materials, as you import a lot of finished products, you need to do product diversification and market segmentation and market diversification. Once you do that, when you do your market segmentation, you're doing the upper market, middle market, and the lower market. And when you do the market diversification, you deliberately do export, okay, as you do the internal production or distribution to balance the exchange rates fluctuation. And I've already established to you the nature of our economic model gives us that trade deficit between the export and import. That is what it is. So as you operate in it, you must deliberately build resilience in product diversification, market diversification, deploying information gathering, research, and advance of IT to do online marketing, online distribution. Those are the current tools that you can use to develop the resilience in that space because you're operating in a defined space of a trade imbalance. So once that is the status quo, then you develop this so that you become resilient. As you do that, then you deliberately do a backward integration, identifying your local raw material supply base. So that becomes a medium to long-term strategy to tie it into the succession plan and the longevity of your business. So as you do same, then you could then go look for the venture capitalists, go through the stock exchange that I've developed retail with my pharmaceutical import, and I have all this market. So once you've established the market and you can demonstrate to them to assist you to develop a factory and develop your local supply base, then gradually you're moving from medium to long term. And your business resilience then goes into the future as you make a strong business case. My humble suggestion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Humphrey. Rosie or Abna, you want to add something or take one of the other questions?
I'm happy to address the question the gentleman in front asked around
the skills development.
The
one.
skills development.
Yeah, sure.
And I completely agree with you that it is an absolutely essential part of building resilience. You spoke specifically about the agri sector. You mentioned tomato, and you're absolutely right. What we're realizing is that a lot of the tomato that's being imported, it's because of our agricultural practices in Ghana. That's what's preventing our ability to even use some of our tomatoes for tomato paste. And we have entities in Accra who will still go to Burkina Faso, bypass all of the tomato farms, and go and buy tomatoes from Burkina and bring them here. From the MasterCard Foundation, one of the things we are realizing is that it comes down to sometimes the quality of the seeds we use here. It comes down to when and how we plant. It comes down to when and how we harvest, when and how we store the raw materials, etc. There's so many things in the value chain that requires understanding and skill of our smallholder farmers. And that's a lot of the programs and skills that we're actually trying to work with today. So one of the things we're focused on is that 90% of our work at the foundation will actually be in the agriculture space, because we realize that it's absolutely crucial to feed in ourselves and ensuring that we reduce the import bills that exist from food. So one of the programs we are running, for example, in the north is with grains, right? We're working with an entity that is improving the way that about 12 SMEs in the north are actually developing the grains industry, to the point where we've got Nestle on board. And Nestle typically imports all of the grains they need for their produce. Today, they're actually buying from those entities, because those entities are now using better seeds, are now growing and harvesting the right way. One of the things we found out was that their storage facilities weren't up to snuff. So we've helped them improve that, to the point where they're now at a quality that Nestle can offtake and doesn't need to now go and import from all of the other places they were initially doing. Guinness is now on board to do the same, right? So it's not as if we don't have the ability to do it. It's a lack of knowledge, understanding, and the skills, like you're saying. And that's a lot of the work we're trying to do to build up our local farmers, to build up the SMEs within the agriculture space, so that they can start to live to that level. And when they're doing that, it will make them more resilient, because it opens up the kinds of people that they can sell to. These are entities that we're now trading in the market, who are now selling to the Nestles and the Guinnesses of the world. So yeah, that focus on skill development, I think, is also a very crucial part. Do you want to touch on succession planning? Okay.
Thank you. I'll take the succession planning from my proudly listed Ghana Stock Exchange company, Guinness. You're spot on. It's important to look at the people that manage the business different from the people that own the business. Owners like our parents, we never want to let us go, let the bird fly. There's a very important stage where founders and visionaries are there, but there's also a very, very important stage where you need to bring in experts, managers into your business. So how the boardroom talks about succession planning, has a plan, identifies successes, invests in them, scale them, upskill them, challenge them, and grow them, and make sure that the business at every point in time has a plan A, B, C, D, E for all identified critical roles is very, very, very important. So succession planning is critical for the longevity of a business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Humphrey?
I had wanted to also do a bit of the role of MasterCard in the grains industry and call it, okay, MasterCard Foundation. All right, in the grains industry. We always want to situate our economy where it is, which is a least developing economy. And in a least developing economy, theory and practice over the years had explained that a free market dominant economy in the least developed economy, it's a challenge for significant or transformational change. I precast this on what MasterCard Foundation is doing in the said grains industry. And I'm going to give a typical example. Our appeal is that when you form a grains authority, and then you could guarantee an off-taker price for the grains product, it stops the market infiltration, price imbalances, undercutting, and it straightens the off-taker price, and then the farmer who's in the space of grains is confident that if I produce 12 acres at an off-taker price of 5 cedis, this is my total income. It harmonizes the raw material market, and then it gives room to the one district, one factories, and the factories to buy at a harmonized price. Then the efficiency of your factory, your marketing skills, then gives you the market to distribute and make your margin, so that we can step up the raw material base. That's one of the biggest challenges in the grains, and you can see that in the poultry industry. And I believe you've all heard the story why the cost of feed is expensive, because we do not have a guaranteed market price for the maize. So if MasterCard Foundation with its muscle can influence government in policy through the Agri Ministry to set an off-taker price for grains, rice, sorghum, name them, and that ecosystem is regulated in the off-taker price, and you create the storage facilities, and you create the value chain distribution to store and have the silos. This is what is done in India, it's done in Europe, it's done in the Americas, and therefore the farmers then get comfortable, like it's done in the cocoa industry. You need such a model, and I situate it in the least developing economy, so that the regulator here becomes dominant in controlling that space. Then you allow the free market economic model to play in the space from that off-taker price to the consumer price. It gives you room to control and grow the base that then feeds industry. That is our proposition to you, and we expect further discussion with the new minister and the government in that space to transform the set space of the agri value chain. My colleague in the pharmaceutical industry, I skipped policy. There are roles, and I know in my intro I told you about the governing structure and the government in, government out. There's a way policy can influence your desired interest of building a local raw material base and also doing the value addition. That is another subject that you need to factor in your risk profiling of your industry and your distribution enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kwesi. Let's go on to our online participants. There's a comment and a couple of questions. We took that first one about capital already. A comment from Joseph Kumsin. Actually, it's a question. He says, how do you get your customers to appreciate the use of technology? And then, you know, he says, because majority of them are technology illiterate. That's one question. This is a comment. Says, I love Rosie's submission. She's on point. The right governing structures are needed to see resilience and business growth. Tohibu Sule says, as a business owner, how do I take advantage of these markets? Are there people whom I can contact to prepare me to list successfully? I think this is to you, Abner. Any group of people who are preparing to list that I can meet. And these are from our participants online. We'll take one round, a final round of questions for those who are here in person, and then we'll move on. So please put your hand up if, okay, we have one in the middle, okay, a second, and then the third right up front. Please speak, yes.
Thank you. My name is Haruna. I'm an economist and also a lawyer. I used to work in the Ministry of Finance so many years ago, so later on I'll have to contact the MasterCard Foundation lady, because some of the things she was talking about, we did all those things, but with problems. We can talk later. But today, my issue is not more of a question, but a suggestion. Maybe when I finish and the panel, they want to add up, they can do that. I should stand.
Oh, I think because we're broadcasting to an audience not here, would like to be able to pick you with the camera. So, yeah, thank you.
The first comment I have is, in Ghana, we always say one-man business. We are interested or do one-man business. And one-man business, when we say it, we often refer to Makola, then Abosokai, and others, without coming to my honorable friends, their AGI association. My experience has been that some of your members, sorry to say it, are all one-man businesses. For instance, it may be a limited liability company. You go behind, you realize that the person is the sole shareholder of the company. Then the directors will be his children or relatives. He controls everything. Then, when it comes to, unfortunately, death, the man dies, then there's this big problem, sometimes litigation. Those who want to inherit. And the legal implications are there. Sometimes 3-4 years before you end up, the company is gone. So my question is, does the AGI organize seminars, training for its members to take care of this? Because sometimes it's so painful. As a lawyer, you may be even representing a company. The main man goes away, and it takes so long before you resolve it, it's finished. A typical example, I used to have this, he was older than me, but a big friend. He started thinking that he had about 7 children with different companies. So he kept on asking us, do we know the originator of Barclays Bank? We said, why? And he said, look, Barclays Bank was founded so many years ago. Those who founded it are gone, but still the bank is still there. So I want you to do something for me so that one day, when I'm gone, my companies will stay. We're working on it. Then one day he came and said, look, you guys stop. Don't do it again. And you'll be surprised, within 2 months, this man died. The company now, they have to share it into pieces, the children. I want this, I want that. So my advice is, in your organization, please, if you don't do it, organize seminars for them as to how they should manage their companies when they are alive and when they are not there, so that at least there will be continuity. This is a suggestion I have.
Very, very laudable one at that. And I can confidently say that if they don't, they will, and they'll do it with Asasi. Humphrey, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. One-man business is phenomenal. There's nothing wrong with one-man business, starting one-man business. All the giants you can name, from Korea to China, down to the US, down to Africa, all started with one-man business. Facebook, same. So historically, it's been always a case that there'll be a leader, there'll be a promoter, and then it continues from there. So one-man business then moves to family businesses. Then there must be an ecosystem that will pick that family business from one-man business to the next stage. However, as you seek to do that, you must situate it in the earlier context of, let me use the word, a hostile African market environment, where there is the factors of push factor and pull factor. You are an economist. Push and pull factor then, by virtue of the extent of unemployment and the extent of the economic issues, push others to be one-man business owners, and that becomes their source of income. Does the one-man business have reasonable understanding to create a bigger business, yes or no? Then you come into the ecosystem to see, as Abina mentioned, historically, how many companies can you see that have been branded over the years that are indigenous companies that have moved from the culture perspective to promoting huge businesses? When you go to Korea, you see that successive governments have picked winners. And we know the story of Samsung, the Hyundai, the a number of them. You go to the US, you find same. So the ecosystem then identifies some companies, some family businesses that they can use as a trump card, and then they pick them up. However, in our case, as regimes strive to do same, we know the political entrepreneurs. We know how successive government, from the B.A. Mensens right down to the Siaons and the Tatars, virtually collapsed by virtue of political victimization. And you and I will attest that today, political entrepreneurs are even far richer than indigenous businesses. So they always stand the risks of the other group coming to then temper with their succession and their growth path. So if you have an economy and you have a setting that bias to the growth path of businesses, such successions are truncated by virtue of the ecosystem that has been established. I am suggesting, yes, continuity matters. How do we demystify that space and create the culture of succession and the mindset for entrepreneurs to grow bigger and they will not fall under the victimization of politics? Nonetheless, you will then find out that in the procurement structure of our country, 60 to 70% procurement is done by government. And therefore, people who benefited from such, unfortunately, are exposed to political issues as their companies grow. How do you demystify? So we agree, and I agree with you, that we need to move from one businesses to corporates, huge enterprises, taking advantage of Ghana Stock Exchange. Today, a number of companies are doing pretty well. How do they move on from the family business and quickly enter Ghana Stock Exchange and demystify and create succession plan beyond the founders? That is a mindset that must be changed. And I believe the era is now, considering the evolution and the difficulties we faced in this recent era. So I therefore respect your opinion. Nonetheless, we have a cultural setting, and we together must drive that change and use the Ghana Stock Exchange as one of the routes to create succession and big enterprises if politics and governments will not take winners and promote them. I do submit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. So we're going to take our final round of questions. We're going to start from, there's a gentleman in the middle, and then we'll come to the front, and then one at the very last table, and that will be all for Q&As. I've noted the 2 questions that came from online. I think they're largely questions for you, so I will come to you especially for that. So let's hear your question, sir. Your name and then your question.
Thank you. My name is Kofi Ahovi. One of the factors contributing to the challenging economy in Ghana is cost of this association. We are having many associations at the spare parts dealers. And I'm one of the BMW spare parts dealers of association. And if I may ask, what are the procedure or the steps that we can come to the stock exchange for the loan to just boost our morale in our business? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good question. Let's take the final question from the gentleman in the brown shirt. Yeah, that will be our last.
I'm Alex Nanakese, Alex Akese Simple, from Finance Visa. Please, I want to find out the systematic way of Ghanaians, like Ghanaian businessmen, like we exposing ourselves, because I've come to realize that even foreign companies, when you work with them, certain product is difficult, no matter how years you spend in the company. It's very difficult for you to get to know the details of how they come across certain stuff. But we Ghanaians company, we easily expose ourselves. And when they capture it, they take it. For instance, some of the malls, you see these foreigners with small cameras. Cocoa, I mean, anything that is made in Ghana product. They take notice of it. By the next time, whether it's kente, whether it's chocolate or whatever, so far as it's made in Ghana and you have a market base, before you realize, the next minute, somebody out there is producing the same thing. And as a startup, I'm in the food business. How can we protect our own? Because every business needs to have a secret. Like KFC, the other companies, you can work for them 1,000 years. Certain recipes you can never know. Whether you're a manager, but how Ghanaians, how our concepts, like, we easily expose ourselves to everyone. Whether the person is part of your business glow or is just come to take certain things and throw it out there. How can we do to protect our own so that we take ownership of our own business? Because we always say Ghanaians business don't excel. But we are able to protect our own. I think we can go places.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. So that brings us to the end of the Q&A. We're going to take the answers, and then we can have a wow moment. We'll have the 50 gig data bundles will also be giving out. So don't be in a rush to leave. So let's start taking the answers up. Now I want to start with you. Sule Tohibu from the digital stream was asking, how do I list other people I can meet? So we'll take the answer for that.
Thank you. And I'll take Sule's question with my dear friend from Abosokai as well. We have a group of people called stock brokerage firms. We license them, they are advisors. And if you go on our website, www.gsc.com.gh, you would see the list of our licensed advisors. And if you contact any of them, they will support you. My colleagues are also in the room. We will take your contact details. One of the key things we'll do is get your association together, and we'll present to you. And those that are ready, we'll guide them how to come to the market. But the key thing really is, one, who's your management team? Two, the state of your financials. Three, how compliant you are to the laws and of doing business today. So we'll check that you are complying with all your all the legal requirements, your company is duly registered, you are filing your returns, you are paying your staff's nets, all of that stuff. We'll check that because we want compliant companies on the market. We will check that you have a strong management in place, because if someone gives you their money and this is your plan to manage it, there's a right team to manage and take advantage so that the company or the investor can make the returns that they are looking for. So that's also very, very important. And then the investors will look at your business idea. Your business idea may not be suitable for every investor, but some investors will say, I like your business idea and therefore I'll invest in it. So these are the key things that we'll look out for. But get on our website and you'll see the list of people that can help you.
Wonderful. So you've taken 2 out of the 5. The cost of doing business question is still pending. There's also customers' use of technology. Who would like to go with that? You can take the tech one, or you take both? All right, so Rosie, cost, that's...
Sure, so I think he was asking how you bring customers on board, technology solutions that a company comes up with. And I think the most important thing is communication, right? You've got a new tech that you want to push out. I have seen many instances where some companies will introduce the new tech, get rid of any manual approach that existed before, and the customers are expected to sink or swim. That's one of the fastest ways to aggravate your customers and ensure that when a viable competitor comes, they will leave you and go away. So it's important that, first of all, you communicate the fact that you've got new technology that's going to come and replace some manual process that existed. And then it's also important that you try and run both simultaneously for a while, right? And every time they're using the manual version, you remind them that you got to remember to move to this new tech platform, because soon this manual will not exist. Every time they come into your service centers, those reminders should be there. And at some point, you'll cut over fully to the tech platform. And you will still have some customers who will be aggravated, who would have wanted to have the, let's say, the manual approach existing. But this approach ensures that you minimize how many upset customers you have. And hopefully, the new tech you're moving to actually has more benefits. And that should be the point, right? You're not putting in a new technology to aggravate customers. So it should be serving a good purpose. So once you encourage them to use it, they should then get comfortable knowing that it's actually a better product for them, saves them more time, is more convenient than the initial approach. But it is important to communicate well and fully and give them time to try both at the same time before you fully cut over. That kind of process leaves your customers feeling a lot more comfortable.
Wonderful. Cost of doing business?
All right, I'll do cost of doing business, but I want to take that one from my colleague from Abosokai. Today, there's one government initiative that is interesting, is still going through its rough edges, but give it time. The Integrated Aluminium Value Chain Project, where the 3rd degree stage is creating parts for cars. Most cars today and aircraft are being created out of aluminum. So as you are importing such spare parts, my advice is that seek further knowledge and partnership with companies that are sending you this part, so that you get to master or invite such partners to complement your effort to start creating value addition in the value chain, because now you have aluminum products coming out, and that is one of the raw materials. What you need is machinery. And then once you get the machinery, you can start creating parts to complement the policy that is being rolled out. And once you could get your friends who are interested, you could form a cluster and you become a group. You pool your resources. We discuss partnership. And you come together, you form an SPV, special purpose vehicle. You put your governing structure together. You can come to AGI. I have my chief executive sitting down there for further consultancy advice. And then you table it to Abina. Once it ties into government policy, and I've demonstrated to you, government is the biggest buyer, and they influence significantly. So that idea and concept should tie into the bigger picture. Demonstrate raw material base from here and sustainability of the business. She will quickly finance it. But if it stands alone and you are importing individually and you can't connect to policy and create a market like after, they'll shy away. So come, let's engage. There's space, there's hope. We can do it together as spare parts producers. Today, there are a number of, yesterday, Rana Motors was outdoor as an assembly plant. Yeah. So you go identify the parts, do partnership agreements with them, come and produce using aluminum, and then you get into the value chain. That is how China did it, through clusters. So that's why I said to Council that one-man business, SMEs, they work. We can create an ecosystem and put them all together in, say, the cashew nut business, in, say, your production of car parts. And that cluster can be packaged and will go to the stock exchange for financing. And then it goes back to answer my colleague who says that in Ghana, once you're producing this product, everybody is producing. Then define your space in terms of quality. Look out for export markets. Then when your volumes are increasing, export market is big, Africa is big. So don't be frustrated that you started a business and somebody else is copying. You can choose to register it if you have the IP, intellectual property, or go for the, what do you call the other one, the trade patent.
Trademark and patent.
However, for you to go through that space. But you should know that in business and innovation, once you have the idea, 10 other people have it. It becomes a subject matter of first mover advantage. And if you do the first mover advantage and you don't have sufficient resources, somebody can pick it and move on. Define your market. Your market shouldn't be everybody. Define it. It could go by quality. It could go by pricing. Something will be unique about your product. Don't get frustrated. That is how it's always happened everywhere. So then it ties into the biggest challenge we had until recent, the cost of doing business. Cost of doing business has been influenced by two major issues: policy and then funding. Today, we are entering a new era, and this is the expectation of industry, that a new era will drive down cost of doing business from lending rates. And today, I'm glad to say, MasterCard Foundation and APSA are coming up with one of the first mover, am I correct? And possibly will drop interest rate. Amazing, and I pray the others will follow accordingly. And if interest rate could drop to single digits, that is the beginning of a new revolution. And then we pray that policy will be coherent. I stated earlier, the political era and the promises of politicians can be distorting the environment. But your agility and your ability to be resilient also depends on you, the company, and the company promoter to be knowledgeable in the space so they can be resilient when the politicians are tweaking with our policy, inconsistency, incoherent posture. But let cost of doing business drop, and that becomes the beginning. Thank you.
Wonderful. Rosie, yeah.
Can I make one of your prayers come true regarding the single-digit interest rate? So we've actually are working with a number of banks, 3 banks, and hopefully by the end of this year, we will have a product specifically targeted at SMEs that will have single-digit interest rates. And really, it's about applying, and what we're actually even doing is that when you do apply, we'll have a technology platform, you'll apply on it. When we realize that because of some of the things Abena mentioned, your management team, et cetera, whatever it is that is making you not qualify for the loan, we actually put you in a track where we provide you with business development services at no charge to help you build up your capacity to be attractive to the bank so that they can lend to you. And we are actually supporting the banks such that this single-digit interest rate, we can actually have that regime happen for at least the next 5 years and work with the banks so that they hopefully get to the point where they themselves can put structures in place to be able to reduce those rates after we've stopped working with them. So at least for about a 5-year period, we will have products in the market with a number of banks. We'll start with 3, and then we're going to expand probably after a year or 2. And that will ensure that our SMEs can actually have rates that enable them to really do business. The other thing we're also doing with that is to reduce the collateral. So today, I think collateral is about 3 times the amount you're looking for. We're working to actually reduce that. With our partnership with ABSA, it's actually no collateral, right? So that exists already where you can actually get collateral-free access to finance with ABSA today. But that's exactly what we'll have in this product as well. So we're really excited because we do realize that these SMEs are the engine of the economy. But they need the support to be able to grow and to be able to scale and to move from one-man businesses to full entities. And we're excited to be doing our part to hopefully enable that.
Very well. As we are moving down the line, we're looking forward to receiving the graduates from this program onto the Ghana Stock Exchange.
There you go.
Because they will provide, these programs will provide funding up to a certain level. But the next stage of transformation of that business, you will find on the capital markets. And after going through this program, Rosie has just defined, you are more than adequate and ready for the Ghana Stock Exchange. So we look forward, Michael and I look forward to welcoming you onto our market.
I have nothing more useful to add except
the lacuna that we must establish between trade associations like AGI and MasterCard for this to be perfected. But for that, 5 years, there could be artificial injection, and the financial industries could create that facade. The real economy is being played, and we in that sector, like myself and then Abosokain, NUSA, and others, and other trade associations, will need an engagement with MasterCard to define this space clearly and put mitigation measures that will be a mutual benefit to all parties concerned. We look forward to that.
Well, you got Rosie's response. She's ready. And the president is not just speaking as a panelist. He's looking out for his members. But yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Dr. Humphrey Kwesi Ayimdake, AGI president, and Rosie Finn, country director for MasterCard Foundation, and Abena Amwa, managing director of the Ghana Stock Exchange. We're grateful for the insights. We're grateful for your presence, and more importantly, the practical examples you've shared with us, and the announcement of, I've made note too, the announcement of the 35 billion, the single-digit interest rate, and then the AGI forums that we'll do for your members. Yes. Thank you. I'm Kweko Ishirado. A round of applause for our panelists. You may please resume your seats. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, I've got some goodies to give away, and we can shake hands, interact, and then we go back to work.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She's pleased. But now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains the new fleet-finding darts are more accurate than the old ones. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't automated your fleet management yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Doing never stops until the job is done. Turn your home and business into an internet highway and experience the revolution of working and playing without limits. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh to sign up for MTN Fiber for home and business today.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased. But now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security goat to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for those messages. I'd like to invite over the Senior Manager for Enterprise Marketing at MTN Ghana, Benedict Bento, for a short presentation. A round of applause for him as he comes.
Okay. Hope everyone can hear me. I'll take us through about just 5 to 10 minutes of what MTN has to help organizations build resilience. I know most of us are tired and want to get to the ending of the program. So those online and those in here, please pay attention to some parts of the presentation. I'm sure there may be some prizes for some questions that we will be answering. And I'll take us in straight away. Okay, yes. All right, so I'll run us through our ambition and then straight to the solutions we have, and then I'll take a quick Q&A if possible, if time permits, and then we will close. So basically, our ambition still stands as MTN. We are looking to lead Africa when it comes to digital solutions. We are leading the digital solutions for Africa's progress. But for enterprise in particular, we are looking to help organizations to get their business done better. And some of the solutions that we will be looking at down the line will have some details that will help SMEs and large enterprises towards that. Now, our belief statement is to allow everybody deserves the benefits of a modern and connected life. And then our strategic intent is to lead Africa's progress through digital solutions. Now, the pillars that are going to underpin this are the largest and valuable platforms that we are building. I think one of the panelists already mentioned we have the biggest social media app, or the super app called Ayoba, millions of active subscribers on that. We have our mobile money marketplace, which is about to go live to the public. We have the e-shop, we have the business hub, which is coming live. So basically, we are building all the platforms that organizations need to thrive in Ghana. We're also looking at driving industry-leading connectivity operations. I think in the space of about 4 to 5 years, we've added on over 150,000 broadband subscribers. We have the largest data market share. We have the largest market share of telco subscribers as well. And then, most importantly, we look to create shared value. Businesses thriving helps us thrive as well. So we need to help businesses thrive so that we can grow as well. And finally, we look to accelerate our portfolio transformation. At any point in time, you'll find MTN Business doing one of these things. We are looking to solve customers' problems. We are looking to fuel the digitization agenda. We also want to partner with leaders in technology. I think there are some of our partners here. I saw Nalo Solutions, I saw Mpuntu, a few others. And then we are looking to empower MSMEs, micro, all the way to medium-scale enterprises. But all in all, we are looking to help everybody get business done better. Okay. Now, these are what our solutions intend to do for the businesses. We want to help you grow at scale. We also want to increase your profitability at any point in time. Although we cannot affect the economic indicators like the dollar or the inflation, at least we can help you increase your profitability, cut costs, get more revenue from your business. And then finally, help you get future ready, help you prepare for the next 10 years, the next 20 years when it comes to technology. We also want to help you keep your customers engaged. We have solutions that help you reach out to your customers in real time, be able to take feedback from your customers, market your solutions to your customers as well. And then also want to help you improve your efficiency and achieve your goals. Now, these are just a few of our future-ready solutions. If you realize we are moving away from voice, data, and SMS, MTN is now a tech co and not just a telco. Connectivity is still the basis of our operations, but we are looking to add on a lot in the technology space. We are looking at monetizing APIs. Currently, we have a few APIs that are ready for the market. Banks can use our KYC APIs to verify customers. We have SIM-swap APIs as well that you can consume. We're looking at dynamic bundling as well, putting power in the hands of organizations to create their own bundles. So you are no longer limited to the options that you see when you dial a certain short code. You go online, create your own bundle, and send it to yourself and to your employees as well. And then we're also looking at creating the business app where you find all these solutions there. You can access it at any time and purchase any service you want. Of key importance here is the SME Plus for the SMEs in the house. This is specifically designed for SMEs, helps you by giving you that free Monday calls in the beginning of the week. Call your suppliers, call your customers. It's free of charge from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. A very affordable bundle in there for SMEs. And then finally, we also have the group share that still puts power in your hands, manage your contractors. If you have a fleet of drivers, you can decide what type of bundles you want to share for them. Go online, purchase that amount, and just share it to the various parties. I also want to mention mobile advertising. Very important here. With the data that we have, you are now able to provide targeted messaging to your customers, but in a safe way because you do not have access to the numbers of the customers. But you can reach out to females between the ages of 24 and 50 who live in Greater Accra only and share your ad with them. And it applies to the other demographics as well. I'll quickly run through a few of the solutions into detail. This is not work, okay? Okay, so for unified communications, now audio conferencing, video conferencing is not the sole preserve of large organizations. SMEs like schools, churches can use audio conferencing in different use cases. You can run a 2-hour audio conference and charge everybody just 1 CD, and it doesn't take any of their data or their voice minutes either. You can run a hosted call center. You do not need to put infrastructure, build a call center, and put resources in there. You can run a virtual call center, all with MTN's help. And then finally, you have the integrated calls. Your Microsoft Teams can integrate into your normal mobile phone calls as well. And then I'll talk about our cloud solutions. Right now, everybody wants to virtualize their infrastructure, move your disaster recovery into a safe location where, in the event of any breakdown of your infrastructure, you can have your company back up and running in about 30 minutes once you have access to the internet. We are partnering with Microsoft as well to create local instances of Azure for the large enterprises, the banks who want to create Azure instances. We're also partnering with Google and HP as well in the cloud space. And then finally, AWS, and then also managed hosting. Yeah, I think the final one, software-defined wide area network. So the days of sending your IT managers to different branches to go and install applications on different branch pieces are all over. You can now define your entire branch network on a software and be able to send updates, install any applications you want, manage off-site locations, all from the comfort of one office with access to the internet. I think I won't go much into the details here, but yes, like I mentioned, we are partnering with Microsoft as well so that now you can purchase your Microsoft licenses locally in cities. And you'll be able to access your Office, PowerPoint, Microsoft Teams, all the applications in the Microsoft suite locally now through MTN. It will come with certain bundled services. You get extra data and all that. And then finally, like I mentioned, now we'll have a local instance for Azure for the large enterprises who want to start their cloud migrations. So I hope I stuck to the 10 minutes. I won't take much more of your time, but I'll take questions if there are any, maximum 1 or 2. If not, thank you very much. We have an amazing sales team at the back. Godwin, please, wave to. Yes, Godwin and Reindorf are from the MTN sales team. You can get in touch with them if you need more details about any of our services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You just attended a crash course in... No, don't go, Benedict. We're going to have to quiz the room and see if they're paying attention. So I'm going to take 3 answers from within the room. Audience online, are we still online? Good, so we'll take 2 answers online. Okay, well, we'll keep it all in here. All right, so we're going to give away 550 gigabytes of data. I like it. If you don't like it, I'll take it. But Michael, so you're going to ask questions from your presentation. If I do, no one will win. So you seem a better, fairer man than I am. And then we'll give away those 5. So question number 1, if you think you know the answer, you have 1 shot. You put your hand up, and then we'll get a microphone to you. So over to you, Michael. Oh, sorry. I was calling Benedict Michael. Michael, I need you for something. That's why. Sorry.
Can I use the podium?
Yeah, sure. Use the podium.
Okay, so if anyone can name 3 of our future fit services, and if you miss any one of them, you lose. So list 3. Rosie, just give me an A. Depending. If your answer is close enough, we might take it. Anybody? Okay, I see a hand over there.
Grow at scale, get future ready, increase profitability.
Okay. Unfortunately, you have missed the bus completely.
All right.
The solutions.
Who's gonna?
The future fit solutions.
Future ready solutions.
Yes,
right?
I see another hand over there.
Right at the next table.
Build best platform or business platforms.
You've started another journey as well. But that's one of the pillars of our Ambition 2025. So thank you for highlighting it. Any of our future fit products?
Yeah, so we have
listed.
the APIs,
okay,
internet security, and then the Microsoft Suite.
Correct.
All right. So first winner for the 50 gigabytes of data goes to our friend from Guinness, right? Yeah. Next question, please.
Okay. If you could give me a use case for any company, audio conferencing, what would you use it for? I listed a few examples. Oh, I was too fast.
Okay. Alex wants to give it a shot.
Group video conferencing and audio conferencing, where they get to connect at less than one CD.
We'll give it to him.
All right. We have our second winner. Congratulations. Question number 3.
Third one. Okay. So Ambition 2025 has a belief statement. If someone can give it to me, D2. No,
you've had a chance. So we'll pick you. We'll come to you for a bonus round. So we'll go to the gentleman in the black suit.
Everyone deserves a well-connected life.
It's
correct.
Everyone deserves the benefits of a connected life, a modern connected life. But it's close. We'll give you it.
Okay. All right. So that's number 3, right? So 2 more to go. So question number 4.
Yes. Underpinning our Ambition 2025 are 4 strategic pillars. If you could just give me one of them.
Okay. Let's see. No, the hand went up here first. No, wait. The hand went up here first, so we'll give the gentleman here a chance before we go elsewhere.
Leading the African digital growth and also creating...
No, you've taken a different route.
Yeah.
So we'll meet you at the junction.
All right, so the gentleman at the...
Had a lady, so.
Yeah, we haven't. So you know what? Yeah, let's have the lady. A round of applause for the gentleman. His hand went up before the lady, but he's magnanimously given the chance to her to answer. So let's applaud him. Thank you very much.
To build the most and largest valuable platform.
Building the largest and most valuable platforms, but you were close. We'll give it to you.
We'll give it to you. Thank you. And then final one.
Final question. I mentioned we are partnering with Microsoft to launch some Microsoft applications. Could you just give me 2?
2 applications. I would like the lady... you have only one.
Okay, yeah,
when you mentioned the first one, the second might just follow. Don't worry. Let's hear the first one.
The Microsoft
Azure, yes. That's a big one, so I think I'll give you that one.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Benedict, for helping us do this. Yes, you can. And so we now would like to call on Mr. Michael Bowonyo. He's the General Manager, Internal Audit and Forensics at MTN. And you're wondering, Michael, why I'm asking you up here. For 2 reasons. One is, as I have been instructed by the brief, that you will help us with our final wow moment. And the other one is because I'm the MC and I have the right to do this. A round of applause for Michael, please. So our final wow moment is a gift of a smartphone, a Samsung smartphone. Is the phone here? Can we have the phone here so that we announce the winner? Now, the condition for winning this was spelled out, but I'm not sure the winner knew it. All you needed to do was be the first here today, the earliest of the early birds. And winner for is a gentleman who was born on a Sunday. I think, Michael, you should read out the name.
Okay, so we have a winner, Mr. Joseph Kwesi Sapon, Black United Group.
Oh, please applaud the winner. Next time it will be you. Oh, I think you should come up right in the middle and let's take some nice. Congratulations, Joseph. Yes. Yes, and thank you very much, Michael. A round of applause for both Michael and Joseph. And we've come to the end, but please, if you need further guidance on any of the stuff that Benedict talked about, talk to any MTN rep, and they should be able to help you figure out what will help your business be better connected going into the future. The times we're in are unpredictable. But one thing that I can confidently say is predictable is our resilience as a human race. The dinosaurs came and went, we're still here. And in spite of what we face, if we apply the nuggets that we've taken from the discussion and the questions, and also share our own experiences, we stand a chance of staying around a lot longer than the dinosaurs did. I'm Kweku Inshirado. Thank you all very much for coming. God bless you.
In Africa, SMEs play such a strong and important role in terms of the economies that we serve. According to the World Bank data, SMEs contribute about 40% of the African GDP, and they also employ roughly about 2/3 of the workforce on the continent. What I love about this continent is that we're always hustling and finding a way of making things happen. The African population is quite young, and a large component of those are actually being employed by the SMEs. These SMEs are also contributing a lot in terms of solving some of Africa's key problems, but also producing not only products and services, but innovating in terms of how technology can actually solve these pertinent issues. In this dynamic and changing world, we wanted to showcase and position MTN Business and showcase how we are progressing Africa's businesses through reliable and trusted ICT services. Our brand positioning is about business done better. At MTN Business, we recognize that not all businesses are the same, whether it's the small, micro, entrepreneurial startups to the multinationals, including also in the public sector. Each of them have unique issues that they're addressing and also unique offerings that they bring. So as such, as MTN, we want to address that uniqueness and bring solutions that are very relevant in solving these enterprises' issues. At MTN Business, it starts with connectivity, but it goes far beyond that. We're looking at ICT services, cloud solutions, IoT, and all that around the connectivity really starts to build the foundational blocks that makes companies do business better. It's about bringing the old into the new, looking at how things were done into how they can be. So it's all about renewal. It's such an exciting time for us as MTN Business and also for industries out there because we're seeing the progress of technologies. First, we can look at 5G and how that is currently being rolled out across the continent and adjacent technologies within the IoT cloud space and other evolving technologies. These solutions are allowing businesses do business better. Business done better is about unlocking opportunities, unlocking value, unlocking economies, unlocking talent. And that is what MTN Business is all about.
never stops until the job is done. Turn your home and business into an internet highway and experience the revolution of working and playing without limits. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh to sign up for MTN Fiber for Home and Business today. Doing never stops until the job is done. Turn your home and business into an internet highway and experience the revolution of working and playing without limits. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh to sign up for MTN Fiber for Home and Business today.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She's pleased. But now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains the new fleet-finding darts are more accurate than the old ones. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't automated your fleet management yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business. Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security guard to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business. Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that the wells can store many, many messages. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded your contact center yet, it's time to get business done better